Good evening, Stewart Elementary parents. We're excited that you are joining us here this evening. I just want to let you know before we do get too much further into the presentation that we're doing something new tonight, and we are trying to show you a presentation in the background so that you have this information that you can take a look at as we're going through what we want to share with you this evening. And so we have some pictures to share with you, and we have a map that we're going to share with you. So just pardon us if we have to switch for just a second because this is new, and we want to make sure that we are able to show you everything that we're wanting to show you tonight. So once again, parents, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It has been a wonderful 4 days of school, and it's been so exciting to see our boys and girls back in the classroom, even though it's virtually. And although this is not the way we wanted to start our school year, we're making the best of it. And it has been a great start for the school year. I'm so proud of all of your boys and girls. They have done a great job these past 4 days. I have had the unique pleasure of getting to visit most of the classrooms and even pop in on some of the Zooms. And that has been just wonderful to see their smiling faces each day. I'm so proud of our teachers because our teachers have done a wonderful job as well, putting together the virtual lessons and learning the platforms that they're using each day for their students. Parents, I also want to thank you because without your dedication and the things that you have put into place at home, none of this would be possible. So thank you so much for all you have done to support your students and also to support your teachers. So we really appreciate that very much. So tonight, I have some things that I want to share with you with regards to opening our building. And we have some plans that we put into place, and I thought that it was really important to be able to share that with you so that you would know what's going on here in the building and what will it look like when your child starts to school. So I'm just going to share some dates with you to start off with. So as we're preparing for face-to-face, so this week we are having some meet the teacher meetings. Today was our first day to do that. It went really well. We had several of our parents and their students in the building and spending a few minutes in the classrooms meeting their teachers. So once again, parents, thank you so much for working with us as we put procedures in place to help our students, you, and our teachers stay safe. So that is what we're doing this week. Starting August the 19th on Wednesday, we will be welcoming our students who are served in life skills back into the classrooms here on campus. Next week, August 24th through the 28th, we will be making plans to invite students who are new to Stewart to come to the building to meet their teacher, see their classroom, and get acquainted with the layout of the building. On August the 26th, we're really looking forward to the day when our pre-K, kinder, and first grade students who chose face-to-face learning will be on campus for the first time. So we're excited about that. So your child will spend those first few days learning about how to walk through the building, learning about going to lunch, learning about going to specials, and just getting ready for their pre-K, kinder, and first grade school year. On August the 31st, we will start inviting our students who are in 2nd through 6th grade into the building to do the same thing, to get acquainted with their classroom, to hear from their teacher, to learn more about the procedures that will be in place here at Stewart. So on August the 31st, which is a Monday, students whose last name begins with A through C will be invited to come to the building and stay in their classroom for the day. On September the 1st, on Tuesday, there will be students whose last names begin with D through J. And then on Wednesday, September the 2nd, students whose last names begin with K through Q. And then on the 3rd, Thursday, students whose last names begin with R through Z. Now, you might be wondering, so what will those teachers be doing that day who are going to be teaching remotely? Don't worry, we will have lessons that are pre-recorded and the activities that will be ready in either Seesaw or Canvas for students who are still continuing to learn remotely. On September the 8th, the day after Labor Day, Tuesday, will be our first day for our students who chose face-to-face learning to all be on the campus together. We will be enjoying our students here on campus as well as continuing our virtual learning. So those are just the dates that I wanted to make sure that I pointed out to you today. So you can find these dates as well on this document that you will be able to find on the CISD website. And you just click on the icon that says Roadmap to Reopening. And if you have not checked that out, I really want to encourage you to do that because there is a lot of information in there that will answer a lot of questions that you probably have. But all of the dates that I just talked to you about, except of course the Meet the Teacher and then new students to Stewart, are on this document. So right now, parents, I'm going to turn the presentation over to our assistant principal, Mr. Wes Harness, because he's going to start walking you through the arrival and dismissal plans for all of our students.
Hello, Stewart families. My name is Wes Harness, and I am one of the assistant principals here at Stewart Elementary. In regards to the arrival and dismissal procedures, all of our procedures for returning students will look very similar. Our car rider line will still have 2 lanes, but they will be different colors. We will now go to our move forward with our school colors. The purple lane is now the blue lane, and the yellow lane is now the maroon lane. For arrival procedures during the car rider time, when you pull in for your first day of Stewart, you will be asked to merge into or divide into either 2 lanes, the blue lane or the maroon lane. To encourage social distancing, we are doing our best to make sure that we have a lot of doors open and accessible to students to be able to walk into, reduce the number of people walking into the main entrance. For that, we are asking that any student in pre-K through 2nd grade, please drive through the blue lane so that you can exit out at the door closest to where, or you can enter the door closest to where your car is parked in the line and be able to navigate into our building faster and safer. For grade levels 3 through 6, we are asking that you please pull into the maroon lane closest to our student parking lot, so that when you come in, you will enter in through the main entrance to help reduce the numbers and to help ensure that social distancing occurs. In regards to biker walker, we are also encouraging that social distancing occur during this time period. All biker walker students will enter through the side of the staff entrance of the building on the back side of the school. Staff members will be on duty there to direct the students and encourage the social distancing procedures. Parents can walk their students all the way up to the bus ramp to the entrance of the biker walker door and say goodbye to their children there. In regards to dismissal, our dismissal looks a lot like our arrival procedures. We will have in front of our building 2 lanes, the blue and the maroon, and students will be called by the staff personnel that will call their names into the school. Once those staff personnel calls the names into the school, students will social distance down the hallways and be released down the hallways with monitors, ensuring that they are socially distanced apart and make it to the front porch where they will be ready before their cars even get to the car rider spots. In regards to dismissal as well, as they're walking down the halls to ensure that they continue to social distance down the hallway, they will navigate through 2 lines that are 6 feet apart on each side of the hallway for either daycare and bus or biker, walker, and car rider. This is just another added system in place to ensure that kids have the appropriate distance from one another as they're transitioning to their dismissal spots. For biker walker, all biker walker students will exit through the side staff door of the building on the back side of the school. Students will, our staff members will be on duty to direct the students and encourage this social distancing procedures. Parents of students in grades pre-K through 1st grade will come up to the flagpole area to pick up their biker walkers. Regarding bus dismissal, buses will be called for dismissal inside the school. Monitors then will divide the students into their appropriate bus route lines and then will walk the students down the hallways social distanced apart. Students then will be placed in their bus lines and seated accordingly and get ready for the bus to seat accordingly to the bus driver's seating chart. All of our students starting on August 26th will start by dismissing out of their classrooms. To increase social distancing, we are asking the students to be dismissed from their classrooms instead of large form and grouped areas. On Monday, August 24th, car rider information and school maps will be posted to Facebook on the Stewart PTO page and also through our school messenger and communications system to help parents understand the ins and outs of all of our arrival and dismissal procedures. Now we're going to receive information from our wonderful new nurse, Patty.
Hi, Stewart families. My name's Patty Harper. I'm going to be the new nurse at Stewart this year. I have 21 years experience in school nursing. I was at Creighton Elementary for 6 years here in Conroe, so I know the Conroe ways and excited to be here at Stewart with the families at Stewart. What I'm here to talk to you about today is just kind of how things will go in the clinic. We have a lot of new procedures just because of what we're dealing with the COVID-19. So the first thing is just to talk to you a little bit about the COVID-19 screening symptoms. I think most of you are pretty well aware of the major symptoms, but just to kind of run through with you, we'll be looking for students that have fever, headache, sore throat, congestion. There are other symptoms, nausea and vomiting, diarrhea are also symptoms. And there's no set symptom that a student will have. So we will just kind of look at what the symptoms are that the student has, and we will call parents and discuss those symptoms with you to decide if we need to send the student home. We are going to be sending home a letter via email that has more detail about each of these topics that I'm going to talk about. So don't feel like you have to take a lot of notes. We're going to cover this in the letter, but I just want to go over the main points with you so that you understand some things before you are returning to school. As far as our medications, there are some changes, and I know some parents are already aware of this. First of all, just in dropping off the medications, when you come up to the school, we will be greeting you at the doors outside. I'll have a rolling cart. I will come outside and meet you, and we'll go through the medication form together when you drop off medications, and then we'll count them out together, and I will take them back into the clinic to lock into the clinic cabinet. The things that you need to be aware of also that are different with medications are that any medications that are used to treat COVID-19 symptoms. And those medications could be as simple as Tylenol, Motrin, albuterol inhalers, Robitussin cough syrup. So all of those medications will be listed in this letter, but it just for you to understand that if those medications could also treat the COVID-19 symptoms, then we would have to have a doctor's order for those medications. So an example of that would be if your child has monthly migraines and you know that as a parent that your child tends to get a headache once a month, that's like migraine type headache, and they would need to have ibuprofen or Tylenol at school. In that case, we would just need your doctor to write a letter stating that your child has monthly migraines and that you're leaving Tylenol or Motrin on the campus for the use of headache relief for those monthly migraines. Same thing with the albuterol inhaler. We know that our asthmatic kids need those inhalers, but we would just need a note from the doctor stating that the inhalers are for the use for their asthma symptoms of wheezing and cough, that there's no relation to COVID-19 treatment. So that is something new for us this year. So we'll kind of get used to that together. The other thing that is with medications is that we are not allowed to use nebulizer treatments on the campus. And this is just for the safety of your own child. Those nebulizer treatments are aerosol treatments. So when the child has that machine going inside the building, if there was by any chance another child in the building with COVID-19 symptoms, they would be actually breathing in those particles, and that's what our concern is for your child. So we will make other arrangements for if your child needs the nebulizer treatments at school, we will talk that out with you. You can call me in the clinic and we'll talk about a solution for that. The clinic operations are going to look a little differently. We've got an extra office right next to the clinic that we're using. Mr. Hernandez graciously moved out of his office this year for us, so we would have some extra space. So in the clinic operations, we will have an area for the sick kids, which will be in Mr. Hernandez's office, and then an area for the well kids in the regular clinic that you're used to seeing. Our clinic assistant will be staying in there with the well kids, and if we have sick kids, I will be in with the sick kids in the area where we have kids with fever or cough. As far as picking up your student for illness, we are asking that you do that as quickly as possible because we are trying to keep that area with no more than one student at a time in there. So we try to space students out if we have to get up to 2 students, but we really don't want any more than 2 students in that area. So when we call you and say your student has 102 fever, we're asking that you just come as quick as you can to pick them up. We also want to talk to you a little bit about the screening of your students at home prior to coming to school. You would be screening your students. You'll get an email Sunday from the district, and it's just going to ask you to do a screening of your students, just checking to see if they've had any symptoms over the weekend that would keep them from coming to school on Monday. You'll answer those questions on the email, and then that will let you know if the student's able to come to school. And then we do ask that even though you only do that on Monday mornings or Sunday evenings, we ask that you continue to check your child each morning, Monday through Friday. You don't have to put that in the computer, but just checking your child to see, do they have any symptoms of the fever, the cough, the sore throat, or headaches that are the main symptoms we're seeing. If your student is brought into the clinic and he is ill and he has, say, a fever of 102, we do want you to understand that we're going to have to put a mask on him as we walk him through and into the area where we're putting the sick students. The nurse will then be with them and kind of help them through that process. We will call you about picking them up. And then I have a form that I will go through with you that is going to have a copy for you to take home with you. And this form is just going to tell you what symptoms your student had on the campus, and that these are the symptoms of possible COVID. So because they're going home with symptoms of possible COVID, we have a little different criteria than we have had in the past. So if your child's going home with, say, a fever or a cough, typically we would tell you as long as they don't have a fever for 24 hours, they can come back to school. But now due to our COVID situation, if they have those symptoms of COVID with the fever or cough, we are going to ask that you follow the directions at the bottom of the form, and it's going to be very specific. So typically, if they have those symptoms, they would need to be out of school for 10 days or have an alternative diagnosis. And by alternative diagnosis, we just mean that if you pick them up on Monday and he has a fever and a sore throat, you take him to the doctor. The doctor checks him and says it's strep throat, gives you a note that says he has strep throat, and he can return to school when he's fever-free for 24 hours and been on antibiotics for 24 hours. So then that student would not have to stay out for the 10 days. So we will be requiring you get to take them to the doctor more frequently because we just have to rule out the COVID-19 symptoms. And then once we've ruled that out, then they can return to school. So we've given you a lot of information. There'll be more information in the letter, and you are very welcome to call me in the clinic. I usually have the kids call me Nurse Patty because it's just really easy for them to say. So I look forward to meeting your students and meeting you. And I'm going to turn it over to Dr. English.
All right. Okay, so parents, I want to thank Nurse Patty and Mr. Harness for sharing that information with you. I just would like to add a little bit more information regarding our procedures in the clinic. That there's just keep in mind that the procedures that we are putting in place, they come from the guidance from the school district and from TEA, who works very closely with the CDC. And so the guidance that we receive, as you can well imagine, changes pretty quickly. It can change from day to day. And so anytime that we are notified of those changes, we start making able to meet those changes and put new procedures in place. But it's all, of course, to make sure that we keep our students safe and our staff safe. I realize that some of these changes are very different than what we've had in the past, and just know that we are trying really hard to make sure that we accommodate all of our students. And Nurse Patty is wonderful. So several of you have probably already had a conversation with her with specific situations that your child might be dealing with, and she will walk you through all of that. So don't feel like that you have to remember this. Whenever a situation does arrive, we'll help you with it. She works very closely with health services at our district level, and they help guide her as well. So we have a lot of expertise that we are able to consult with on a daily basis to help to help her and to help you and our students in the building. I would also like to add additional information about our car rider dismissal and arrival system. For those of you, I'm just going to add to what Mr. Harness said. For those of you who are returning to Stewart, you're not really going to see any difference. So we've got the 2 car lines. And for those of you who are new to Stewart, we have a pretty good dismissal system and arrival system put into place here on our campus. And we are pretty efficient with it. The biggest difference the biggest change that we're making is that instead of students sitting in common areas within our building, they will be staying in their classroom until their name is called. But in any case, students will be out on the front porch by the time your cars drive up along the curb. What we're going to ask is that just be patient with us. Just know that we realize that we're probably going to be experiencing at least 100 more cars in the car line, which is okay. We know that a lot of our students will not be riding the bus this year. And so we're going to move that car line as quickly and efficiently as we can. And and just know that the first few days may be a little bit slower, but we'll get better at it. And the number one goal and number one priority is that we're doing what's safe and best for our kids. So there's a few things that if I can get this going, I think we're doing a pretty good job tonight, don't you guys? Okay. Yes. So we're seeing these pictures in the background, and we have some great things we want to share with you. So the first thing that we want to share with you is what we're doing in the classroom to help prepare for in having our students back here at school. So you will see this picture. This, of course, is some of our staff students, staff kids who are in this picture. But we have one of our teachers here on campus, Miss Dory Lee, our art teacher. Her father has volunteered to make these dividers for us. And so we will have these dividers in all of our pre-K, kinder, first and second grade classrooms. So here's a picture of it. We actually had some prototypes delivered just today. So I wanted to share this with you. So those will be in each of our classrooms. Here's another picture of it from the side view. So you can see that these students who are in this picture are wearing their mask. These students are some of our older students. And so as of right now, I know that you're probably wondering, okay, so are our children in pre-K through second going to be required to wear a mask? And my answer to you for right now is that the guidance that we have is that they're not going to be required to wear a mask. Just, I'm saying that with caution because that could change, and we will let you know, of course, anytime anything that affects your child changes. So just wanted to share this with you, this picture of what this would look like in the classroom. Here's a picture of our hallways. And so if you've been in our campus, you've seen the horseshoe tiles. And this is how our students walk down the hall. And the direction of the horseshoe tile gives the student an indication of what direction that they go. And in the past, we've said single file horseshoe tile. And this year, our students will be walking one way down the hall. So you can see that we have blue arrows that are down on the floor right now. So this gives the students, they know what direction they're supposed to be going down the hall. This will allow us so that students will not be passing one another. Our classes will not be passing, because typically in the past, that's exactly what we had. We had students going each way down the hallway. So they'll have these arrows, and don't worry, they'll be practicing this their first days in the building. So this will indicate to the boys and girls what direction they will walk down the hall. Here's our new saying that we will be teaching our students. So it says single file, horseshoe tile, always 3 apart. So we will be saying this every single day. There are signs in every classroom. There will be signs in the hall. So that's our way of teaching our boys and girls to distance themselves as they're walking down the hall and transitioning throughout the building. So if you've been in our building and you've seen the boys and girls, sometimes it's hard for them to keep their hands to themselves. So now we're going to be able to keep them spread apart. So this is going to be something that we're going to be able to say to them every day. Single file, horseshoe tile, always 3 apart. So they'll be learning that. So ask them about it when they get home after their first few days here at school. This is a picture of what it will look like outside of the restrooms. So you will see we have social distancing stickers on the floor. You've seen those in public places, I am sure. So we have those here at Stewart as well. And so we will be teaching the boys and girls about how they go up to the restroom and determine if there's already 2 students in the restroom, then they will wait outside in the hallway on these stickers. You'll also see that we have a stand here by the restroom that is one of our many hand sanitizer stands. And so not only do the teachers have hand sanitizer in all of their classrooms, we have them in all of the offices and rooms in our building, but we have several hand sanitizing stands along our halls as well, and in the cafeteria. So this is, once again, another one of those procedures that we will be teaching all of our boys and girls their first few days back here on campus. Well, this picture is turned sideways. I apologize for that. So if you turn your head, you can tell what this is. So this is our touchless water fountain system. So you may have seen these in other public places, but there is a motion sensor right in here where the students can put their water bottle up underneath there, and it will automatically start the water flowing and fill up their bottles. So the water fountains that are throughout our building that do not have this feature, those have been turned off. And so I know that the district is working to try to get more of these in our building. Right now, we do have one that's in the cafeteria that is a water fountain that was there before that they actually retrofitted so that it could be a touchless water fountain. So we'll be teaching our students how to use this too. And I know I've said this before, but it's going to be really important for you to allow your child and remind them of this to bring their own water bottles too. So we're prepared for that. We're ready for it. And that way they may have to be able to avoid going to the touchless water fountains during the day. But they're here for us when we need them. So here's a picture of our cafeteria tables. So we have revised our master schedule to allow for distancing in the cafeteria while students are eating lunch. So you will notice that on this table that you see right in front of you, there are 3 blue dots on the seat on this side. On the opposite side of that table, there are 2 blue dots. And so students will learn that this indicates where they are to sit each day. So this allows our students to be distanced while they're eating lunch. We do have enough tables and seating in the cafeteria so that we can allow for a grade level to eat in the cafeteria together, and they will be distant. We are going to be assigning these seats to the students. So they will learn where their particular place is to sit, and they will be coming into the cafeteria to sit there each day. We do have time built in between each lunch period throughout the day so that we can sanitize these tables properly and be prepared for the next grade level. Now, parents, I know that this is another procedure that we are having to put in place as well with regards to lunch. So many of you do love coming to eat lunch with your boys and girls, and we love it when you're here. But right now, we're not going to be able to allow any parents to come into the cafeteria to eat lunch with their students. I don't like it any more than I know you don't like it. But it does allow for us to have the proper distancing in the cafeteria while students are eating lunch. Just keep in mind, this won't last forever. It won't last forever, and we'll be able to get back to normal. I hope soon, but I know this will not last forever. Also, parents, so many of you do enjoy bringing lunch from local restaurants for your child, in that we're not going to be able to allow that as we get started with this school year either. So maybe when we get into the second semester, we can take a look at it to see where we are and the guidance from the school district. But right now, the guidance is that we will not be able to accept and bring in any outside lunches. So it's going to be really important for everybody to get in the habit of packing that lunch and bringing it to school. And so, and if they forget their lunch, it's okay. we're going to be able to let them charge their lunches. Where in the past, that we were not allowed to do that. So our district has changed that policy. So don't worry, they're not going to go without eating. They will be able to charge a lunch, and we'll be able to take care of them that way. Many of you are probably going to hear from your teachers too that we would like to encourage our boys and girls as much as possible to try to bring their lunch with them at least the first week of school. This will allow us time to teach all of our students when they are all here face to face the procedures of coming into the cafeteria, finding their place to sit, eating their lunch, and then getting ready to be dismissed from the cafeteria. All of this takes time, and we just want to make sure that we're able to get all of our students into the cafeteria and be able to eat their lunch before it's time to leave. So just want to encourage you, if that's at all possible, if you could send them with the lunch for at least the first 5 days of school, that would be really helpful. All right, so many of you have had questions about what is it going to look like when my child goes to specials? What will PE look like? Music, art? We will have those classes. And so our students will be transitioning to their specials classes each day. Students will have PE every day like they normally have, and they will have either music or art. We are working on our schedule. We've already have things in place for our students to be able to enjoy these classes, but they will, instead of all of our, in the past, if you're returning to Stewart, we would have half of our grade level in the gym at one time. We're not going to be able to do that this year. So our students will be with the same cohort of boys and girls that are in their class when they go to PE or art or music. So we have already put things into place for that to happen. And so they will be able to have PE, art, and music each day. All right, so let's talk about recess, because I know that is something that is on everyone's mind as well. So I just put some pictures of our playground up here. We actually have 3 playgrounds. And so especially for the benefit of the new parents to Stewart, so that you can see this. So the playground that you see in the middle is the original playground that we had here at Stewart Elementary, and it does have a shade cover. The playground that you see on the left was installed on our playground. It's on the side playground that's the closest to Fish Creek. That playground is only a couple of years old. And so we're very excited. Actually, the PTO and Spirit of Texas Bank provided the funds for that playground. And so I'm very excited to let you know too that it won't be long, and that playground will also be covered. You are very familiar with the Texas sun, and it can get very hot. And so our PTO has worked very hard to raise the funds so that we can cover that playground as well. So you'll see that coming up soon. On the far right is brand new to our campus. This is our pre-K playground. So I wanted to make sure that you saw this as well. So this will be dedicated to our pre-K students only. So it's very tiny, and it's only for our youngest children on campus to use every day. So that playground is actually closest to our car line. And so you will see that if you are in the car line. And we're excited to have a playground that's dedicated for our youngest children on campus. So our students will have recess. So this year we've worked out the master schedule once again so that our recess times are scattered throughout the day. They're not right up next to lunch like they were in the past. And this is because we're having to utilize all of our playgrounds, our 2 playgrounds, for 1 grade level at a time. So for example, in fourth grade, we have 6 classrooms in fourth grade. And so 3 classrooms will be assigned to one playground area. Another 3 classrooms will be assigned to the other playground area. On the playground, they will be playing with students from their own classroom. And so we will be rotating the students around so that they can, a classroom at a time. We're going to do that by week. So for 1 week, it might be Miss Moffat's turn for her students to be on the playground. The next week, the playground equipment. The next week, it may be Miss Massey's students who are on the playground equipment. The procedures that we have in place for that are that students will be required to use hand sanitizer before they get on the equipment, and then they will use hand sanitizer again as they're walking back into the building. And so you will hear from your child's teacher. In fact, we just released all the schedules today of when each class will be going to recess. So you'll probably be hearing a little bit more from your child's teacher about that in the days going forward. Something that I would like to talk to you about too is changing the mode of instruction. So a few weeks ago, you were asked to pick whether or not you chose online learning or if you were going to choose face-to-face learning. I realize that we've had to work out some kinks with some of you and just trying to make sure that we had that correct. Parents, I'm going to ask you that because we have classes set, we have our distance learning teachers selected, we have a certain amount of students in those classrooms, and we have a set amount of students within the face-to-face classrooms. Please refrain from asking to change the mode of instruction. I'm not saying it's not possible and that we won't consider that because we want to be flexible, but we're going to be asking questions and we're going to be taking those about it's going to have to be an extreme circumstance. So we're going to ask you to please try to not ask for that at this time unless there's an extenuating circumstance, and we will consider those, and we're going to work with you for those situations. And so I just wanted to let you know about the background with that and how we're having to set up those classrooms and also allow for distancing within our classrooms for our face-to-face learners. Everyone's going to have an opportunity to make those changes in October, and we're going to be making some changes to the classroom assignments as necessary. So I just wanted to just remind you of that. And once again, we're going to work with you. I just wanted you to be aware of the challenges that we face in trying to make sure that we're consistent and we keep the distancing for all of our boys and girls. Online instruction. So that will continue. So we do have designated teachers who are teaching online instruction. It looks different from grade level to grade level, of course, because there are some grade levels where we have very few boys and girls who have asked for online instruction. And then there's grade levels where we have 2 classrooms of students who are learning online. And so that will continue. Our teachers are going to be doing a wonderful job with all of our online learners. Parents, I'm just going to be asking you to continue to encourage your child to keep up with their activities, keep up with their assignments. Don't get behind. Stay involved with their online teacher. I can promise you our teachers are not going to let time go by without touching base with your child. But as much as we appreciate everything that you are doing, I know that you are faced with challenges at home as well. We have a curriculum that is a wonderful curriculum for our online learners. They will be learning the same thing that our in-class, face-to-face students will be learning. So we're just going to be asking you to keep up with that and as much as possible, if they could be in the synchronous learning online in real time with their teacher, it does allow them to ask those questions. Those online teachers will continue to have those office hours so that their students can, and I know they will, be able to get on and ask their teachers any questions that they have. So, parents, in closing, I just want to once again thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I hope that we've been able to answer the questions that you have. There is one thing that just popped into my mind that I just want to make sure that I do talk to you about. And Nurse Patty is still here with me, so she can probably help me with this too. But a lot of you do have questions about, for example, what happens if a student in my classroom tests positive for COVID? Does that mean that every student in the classroom must quarantine? And the answer to that, and I'm going to refer to Miss Patty because I want to make sure I say this right, is...
So basically, not necessarily.
Each situation is different.
And we'll kind of talk through it, and we'll work through it with you, and we'll come up with the right answer.
And so we're doing our very best, parents, to things like in our younger grades, to have the dividers at the desk. Students who are in 3rd through 6th grade will be required to wear a mask. And so we're putting those things into place to make sure that at lunch, that the students are distanced, that they are cohorted together with the same students, that the teachers have seating charts in their classroom. So what will happen is anytime a student comes into the nurse's office with symptoms that could be COVID related, let's say, for example, a student comes in with a high fever and is vomiting. Okay, if something like that is happening, Nurse Patty notifies me right away. We begin the process of contact tracing at that point. So it starts right away where we contact the teacher, we find out who that student has been around. Then once we find out what that diagnosis is, and if it is COVID, we will be notifying you. Am I correct, Miss Nurse Patty?
Yes. So
okay.
If they do get a positive COVID test, then that's when we'll have to have that seating chart. So we'll find out that we'll know that seating chart right away, and we'll look at who that student had contact with that day, so that we can go back. If we get the results 3 days later that it was positive, we go back and we make a decision from there. Who was having that close contact of closer than 6 feet. And again, if they're wearing their masks and they have the shields, then it may not mean they need to quarantine with that. That's right. Where we look at each individual case.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much, Nurse Patty. So it's not, you can see, I'm sure with the explanation, it's not always a clear cut explanation. There's not a line drawn in the sand because we have to consider the circumstances. And then we receive guidance from health services in our school district that helps us make all of these decisions, and you will be notified if there is a positive case and if your child wasn't within close contact of the person who received a positive diagnosis. So I hope that you can see by the pictures that we've shared tonight and the things that we've talked about that we are working really hard to put things into place to for our face-to-face students to come back to school and to be able to distance within our building. And just know, parents, that if you have any questions going forward, a lot of you do email me. Please don't hesitate to continue emailing me. Your teachers are also a great resource for you. Don't hesitate to ask them, because if they don't know the answer, they're going to come to admin to get the answer to their questions. So I hope that we were able to help you tonight. I do want you to know too that this presentation will be posted on our Stewart website along with the maps that Mr. Harness shared with you and the information about arrival and dismissal for particularly our car riders. And so that information will be on the Stewart website. We're trying really hard not to overwhelm you with a lot of emails, so you can access that from our Stewart website. We'll go ahead and email it to you, but just know if it gets buried in your emails, that's where you can find it. We will also share with you the letter with the detailed information about all the talking points that Nurse Patty reviewed with you tonight. So I want to thank Nurse Patty. I want to thank Mr. Harness. They've done a wonderful job in getting things prepared for our boys and girls to start back to school. And we're just looking forward to seeing everyone. And so just please remember, reach out to us. Boys and girls, if you're listening, we miss you. We can't wait to see you, and we'll continue seeing you in all those Zoom online lessons. So have a great evening, everyone. And I hope we can do this. Bye-bye.